Hey, it's 4:20, so let's get hot. How you doing? Cool. So I was speaking about Israel yesterday. I never quite completed, and I was asked to speak about the fact that Israel has just become 73 years old. Yesterday was called Yom Atzmaut. Atzmaut comes from the word etzem, which means a bone. It also means the essence, and it also means like like an individual, someone who is sort of self-contained. So Yom Ha'atzmaut is when Israel became a state. The Arabs called this a catastrophe, and there were many in the Jewish world who didn't agree that making a state was the correct thing to do, because they held on to the prophecy that Mashiach will come and bring the people back, and then we'll all live in Israel under the kingship of Mashiach. That's the prophecy. However, Israel, in 1948, was in a very bad way. Our population of 12 million had just been halved to 6 million. And the Arab people who surrounded Israel, lived inside Israel, had been on the side of the Nazis, which had made it very difficult, certainly, to trust one another. And Israel made a state and asked the Arabs to join with them. And actually, many Arabs did join with them, and they have land until today, some of the most fertile land in the middle of the country. But many left under the promise that the 5 Arab armies were together, were going to invade Israel and throw the Jewish people into the sea, which, thank God, did not happen. In the beginning, the UN had given Israel just not just a slice of land, but it was really indefensible. It was just like connected 2 pieces of land in the north and the south, connected by a little strip of land. And after the War of Independence, that land increased, and it became much more of a defensible piece of property. And the Jewish people, at that time, I was born in 1944, and in the 50s, it was considered a sin for a Jewish person to marry a non-Jewish person, because our population had just been halved. Think about it, people who are, almost 4,000 years old, whittled down to 6 million people. Now we're back up to, I think, 15 million. And so it seemed like making a state, and making a strong state, was the one way that we could ensure that we would not be wiped out by someone who hated us. And the hatred was certainly amplified, by the Christian story of Jews killing God, and that made it pretty impossible to live anywhere. So now we are 73 years later, and what does that mean? Well, the number 72, which is Gematria Chesed, Chesed means kindness, is the highest number of the human being. How does 72 come to be the highest number of the human being? Well, the human being is made in the form of God. Of course, God doesn't have a form. So what does that mean? That means that the name of God, Yud He Vav He, when you put those letters vertically, make a 6th figure of the human being. So that's what every human being is, the portrayal of God's name. The heads is like a dot, is a yud, and the hey are three lines, one horizontal and two vertical, going down, making it look like a little house, or the shoulders and the arms, and then the vav, a straight line, looks like the torso, and then the another hey looks like the hips and the legs. So that's what's meant, that the human being was made in the depiction of God, meaning the depiction of God's name. Yes, and that name Yud Hey Vav Hey can be written in four different ways, and each way derives a new number called the Miloi, what is inside of the letter, inside of the word. For example, hey can be written in three different ways. And I think a vav can be written in two ways. There's something like, I don't remember precisely, but out of that comes four numbers. And the first number is 45. And 45 is Gematria Adam, which is the human being, and then 52, which is the Gematria Behema, which is the animal. And then you have 63, which is the essence of the animal. That's interesting. It was in 2003 was 5,763, which was Sag. That's when Mars came closest to the Earth ever, and that's when we went into our forever war. That's when they felt they had the strength. They had the strength of Mars. But since then, Mars has been distancing itself from the Earth and will continue to do that forever, because we had enough of Mars and that whole kind of, Martian energy of war. And then 72 is the essence of the human being, which is Gematria Chesed, which is kindness. And, we live on a very kind planet. And how do we see that? Because it grows everywhere and it's full of water. And water is kindness, and water makes everything alive. Like you go into the desert, and when there's a little bit of water, it's like everything blossoms. And this planet is just magnificent. And we've spent decades and decades looking out into outer space, and we haven't really found, a fucking thing. I mean, just more stars, more amazing creation, but no life, no sign of life, no signature of life, no nothing. But we spend all this money to, to explore. And in the meantime, we're really just destroying our planet. And the reason is because of the Big Bang Theory, because they've convinced everyone that life just happens and life will end, and make the best of what you got, which is just really stupid. And the way that you know that it's stupid is there is certain configuration in creation that the the ancient people knew and wrote it down, but we prefer to come up with our own theories, which are in their basis very nihilistic. Let me just say, I'm happy to just babble on and on, not really babbling, but I'm also very open. If people would like to ask me questions about this or other things, yeah, that's kind of what this forum is about. But in lieu of questions, we can talk more about, the human being and who the human being is, and how that refers to Israel at the age of 72. Having reached the age of kindness, having reached the age of the complete human being, and and we are individuals, but we're also one human being. And a nation can also reach that 72. It's a time of reflection. Okay, we're a complete human being. Who are we? What have we done? What do we need to change? And what is the future? So, in a sense, because these two numbers of 72 and 777 are happening around the same time, because Trump was elected in the year 5777, and when it inaugurated was 70 years, 7 months, and 7 days. And on March 11th, when when COVID was considered a pandemic, and COVID in Hebrew means respect, and it was there were 7,770,000,000 people in the world. And the 777 has to do with ending. It's the mark of the angel of death. And this is certainly one of the signs that the Roman Empire is over. And this whole idea of Rome being the best and the highest, and needing to conquer the world and conquer outer space, and it's all it's just some bullish excrement. And this is really over. Through Rome, many things have happened, some good, some bad, but here we are now at sort of the conclusion of the 6,000 years of man, going into the 1,000 years of woman and the 1,000 years of peace. And that's certainly not going to happen through Rome, because Rome has been neither pro-woman nor pro-peace. And the prophecy is that Rome will lie down with the lamb. The lion will lay down with the lamb. It's still a lion, but it's not going to go around eating people anymore. No more starting wars, no more making conflicts, no more religion. We're going into a new time where there's equality in the world. And what is the equality? The equality is 72, the human being, gematria Ma. It's interesting. Trump was the 45th president. Ma means what? Because, the human being can ask questions. Animals are curious, but human beings, we ask questions. and that's being a human being Ma. And when we ask enough questions and really search and really, we hope by 72, we came to some sort of answer in life. Some sort of understanding, appreciation for what it is to be a human being. And there is nothing like the human being anywhere. And there's no other physical reality anywhere. Therefore, we cannot detect them. All we clumps is telling me I'm unstable. I know I'm unstable. Anyways, these clumps, which they call black matter and black energy, really what is described in the Zohar as these compartments where angels hang out and souls hang out. There's all sorts of things that goes on in these places, but we can only see 4% of reality. And with that in our puny brains, we've decided that that this is what reality is. So it's interesting. Someone just wrote to me, 1,000 years of artificial intelligence. So here's the thing with artificial intelligence and with computers in general. See, computers are, kind of the short road, which is long. Why? Because it goes between 0 and 1. That's a computer. It's either on or off, yes or no. And they're missing all the numbers in between because it's a system of 10. It goes from 1 to 10. And then the 1 takes on a 0. And it goes from 11 to 20, and the 2 takes on a 0. And computers are missing all the in between. And even though it's a very short road, you skip all the in between, but in a sense, you don't really get anywhere. It's the opposite. The fact that we have to rely upon technology shows really our weakness. And since we're going in, to a new time. I mean, before people didn't need in the books that these people, they knew the pathways through heaven. I mean, it was a much more illuminated time than our time. And our time is so full of darkness that we have to break into the essence of the atom to try to find some light. So are we going to take all this money and build a toilet on the moon, which I understand that's what they've done, before we have one in LA, in downtown LA? Well, that's just stupid. And all technology can promise us. Well, what did we get? In the 50s when they started with the space program, and the people ask what do we get out of this? And what did we get? One of the answers, we got Teflon that you could, as a space age thing, and you could put it on your pots and cook your food, and experimented on us all. And we still don't have a toilet in LA. It's really precious in life. And because you see, with all this technology, I mean, really, what have we got out of it? We got that we can work harder and faster and get more done, and there can be more people that are unemployed. The whole thing is kind of just a lie. So we're not going to have 1,000 years of technology. There is no Star Wars. I mean, there is no thing that all these kind of fantasies are to get people off the track. And technology is just a 0 to 1. It's this very short road, which is missing the point. And the point is, and we see they're missing the point because of the way the human being is treated in this world. And they're just like they're garbage. If they don't fit into the system, then the only good you are to us as some sort of commodity. If we can put you in the hospital, put you in prison, then we can charge the people tax to keep you there, and we can keep siphoning off the money. And to me, the whole sort of progress thing is just it's just a sham. It's just ridiculous. We don't need more progress. We need no more kindness. We don't need any more. We have enough. And what are we doing in outer space? I can make movies in outer space. We needed all this to make a movie in outer space. I mean, it's ridiculous. When everyone in this world has a place to sleep, and when everybody is safe and fed and healthy, then they can think about going to outer space. But this is really our job in this world, is to fix this world. And technology certainly has its place, and certainly can be a huge help to the human being if applied correctly. But if it's just being part of capitalism, and here's the thing about technology in general. There's a generality in Torah. One of the generalities in Torah is that you can't steal fire. Someone's got a fire, you go stick in their fire and take that fire away, and maybe you take that fire and you light a joint with it, and the person says, "I don't like people stealing my fire back." He says, "Hey man, that's not your fire. You can't steal." And that applies to technology also, since it works on fire, electricity. So electricity can be a type of fire. And the truth is, if the law is, hey, once they put their work into the fire, then someone else can't take it out. You don't have to pay for it. You just take it out. That would really straighten out everything in the world, and it would allow everyone to be on an equal footing, which is the truth, that we're all equal and that we're all equally created. There might be a few out there who aren't completely created, like former President Lardass. But most of us, we're completely created. And we're equal in that. We each have individual fingerprints, and one is not better than the other. Even though a fingerprint or a handprint can show that a person maybe has a destiny or has a certain proclivity. But again, one is not better than the other. It's just whatever we were given by the Creator. So, and all the countries, are really equal, because it's like one big body, and we're equal. And so when Israel actually becomes a nation, so this was one of the things that Rome wanted 2,000 years ago. They wanted Israel to be a nation like other nations, and there was a whole group called the Sadducee who they wanted that too, and they wanted to turn the Torah into just the written Torah, no oral Torah, no explanation, and through that making the Torah stupid, and that's what they did, and ended up calling it a religion. And all of this is about Rome conquering the world. And Rome can, their time has ended. They're going to have to lay down with the sheep. They did what they did, good or bad, and now is time to change. And I think it's interesting, that now we have a president who is a Catholic, who is a very good, humane, compassionate man. I'm sure, I don't agree with him on everything. Lots of people don't agree with him on everything. But at least I think most people agree he's a decent human being, which is a good thing to have at the, the head of the government. But he's also, I'm not throwing stones at, I'm not a glass house throwing stones, or however it goes, but he's an old man. And he doesn't have like personal ambition or greed. And I think his job is really sort of wipe Rome up. And we need to go on from here and have another way of understanding our reality and another calendar instead of having the Roman calendar, or even having the ancient Hebrew calendar or the Mayan calendar, that we should have a calendar counting down to the 1,000 years of woman and peace. And right now we're at 219. Next year we'd be at 218. And that would really mean to people something, to people coming into this world, even though no one's expecting to live 200 years. But when you see this is a 6,000 year process, and you're right at the end, and you're going to change how the human being is human, because now is our time to become complete. So at the same time that Rome has become complete, as we're seeing 3 times 777. I wonder what that is. 3 times 777. I'm just can't help myself. But let's see here. I'm sure I must have done this sometime in the past, but I can't remember. So we'll just do it again, because sometimes, it comes out to interesting things. 2, 3, 3, 1. Not so interesting to me. Anyways, so that's a time of ending on one side, and then Israel becoming complete on the other side, also an ending, but an ending of kindness. To me, I see pattern in the world. Where other people see logic, I see pattern. And this is a pattern that makes a lot of sense. And if we all understand that the past is really over, we're never going to go back and do that again. And that we have to look to the future. And because of technology, and because we're all sort of connected, and they can't throw us into war against someone else and tell us that they hate us, because we know that they don't. So now is the time to make this change, this really, really important change. And I think that President Obama, he started steering the country the right way. And then this other clown came in and steered it back. And now sort of time has run out where we need a real dramatic change in America. And that will precipitate a really dramatic change in the world. And we want to make the world beautiful. And we want to utilize all the artists and musicians and poets, to be part of making the world beautiful. People shouldn't have to, work at some job they hate because they can't be creative. Because we all like new shit. Not necessarily done new, but that's what art is. Art is new. It surprises the person. And God likes new. And that's what we should be doing. We shouldn't be producing more shoes. There's enough shoes in the world. We should be producing, more art. And we should be putting it out on the streets and painting it on the buildings. And the only way we can do that is by giving people a place to live, and then people have the time to really become who they are. And that's really being free in this world, is to be who you are. And no one can, I knew this guy once, I met him in Rainbow, and he was this very talented artist. But they told him, in high school, that they gave him this whole list of things he could be, and he didn't want to be any of them. He just wanted to be him. And I think that that's him, her, whatever. That's what we're here for. That's when we connect to the Creator, when we're being ourselves, not when we're being someone else, someone that we have to be in order, to make a living. And, I have a lot of respect for all these people who are very professional in what they do, particularly on, the newscasters and stuff like that. But they have to talk in a particular way. They're not allowed to just talk. They have to talk in a particular way. I don't know if they do that when they're, after work or something like that. But that is their job, to be in a particular way. And, it's sort of like I guess a musician also, I don't know. I mean, I just like more freedom than that. But we're all different. We all need different things. So anyways, that's why I think about the 1,000 years of artificial intelligence, that's not our savior. Our savior is really built into the time system. We can't go beyond that. When we go into the 1,000 years of women, there's going to be peace. But we want to be on the good side of that. We want to be the ones that said, hey, man, I did that. I was part of that. When we go to heaven, the worst part of dying is having to go to heaven and be embarrassed. I was here in this world, and all this good shit was happening. I didn't participate in it. I just had a lot of fun. And you'd be embarrassed because, it was a chance, an opportunity for the soul, which is connected. The soul's carved out of a star and connected to the person through a line of light coming into the right side of the brain. And what does the soul need to be connected to the body for? One has to do it. Doesn't really want to. But what it gets out of it, if the body will around, we're embedded inside the Or Ein Sof, and the closer we become, the faster they go. Anyway, so this is my last broadcast in the week of Tiferet, of beauty, and the world is certainly a beautiful place, and it's our job to come down here and fix what's wrong and take away the darkness, let the light shine in where all the beauty is. And so thank you for watching me. You're invited to come to my website, dovidhouse.com, where I'm publishing my recent book, Sex, a Metaphor to History, Trump 777 and 1,000 Years of Woman. And please, I appreciate it. You could buy the book and review the book, because that's what gets the word out there. And so I guess I'll see you next week at 420 comes somewhere every hour in the world. Somewhere it's 420. Anyways, thank you. My 30 minutes is up that I've allowed to myself. And so I guess I'll send every Shabbat the world rests so we can rest with her. Bye.